The first post NFL draft rookie mock draft. We are here to break down an absolutely insane weekend. And I'm not just being hyperbolic. John, this is our sixth draft cycle doing this together, fully into the process. I think this is the wildest weekend. Day two was absolutely insane, a ton of curveballs. And then day three, some really spicy landing spots. We're going to talk about it, but man, like the tiers are big. There's going to be a lot of picking and choosing in the mid rounds of your drafts. This is going to be a really fun one. This is so important to get in and break this down right now.
Absolutely, Matt. I've been up since 6 a.m. and I did all my rankings, early rankings of players drafted on day 1 and 2. And throughout the afternoon, I've been literally adding players as they get drafted. And we are going to establish a baseline of value. Obviously, there are lots of steps in the process, but there are dynasty teams that kick off Sunday or Monday. So you need to get a baseline for rookie value, and that's what we're here for.
And we have you. We're first on the scene, and we have consistent, proven, accurate analysis year over year. Folks, let's go ahead. Let's get into it. It will be a 4-round Superflex, no tight end premium, but it is a PPR rookie mock draft. Before we jump into it, comments, please let us know. We truly want your feedback. We're not engagement farming here. Talk to us about these picks. I want to hear what you think compared to what we think, so that we can help you win these rookie drafts. So, John, I'm going to go on the board, and I'm going to start us off here. Ashton Genty was the 101 going into the weekend. He goes to Las Vegas. In my projections, he's over 250 touches. He is in a tier of his own, even in a super flex league. That's where he was before the draft. That's where he is after the draft. I don't think we have to spend much time talking about him.
No, I concur with you. And in our previous draft that we did about 2 weeks ago, I'm going to go here with Cam Ward. I'm going to assume you're quarterback desperate. It's a super flex. Matt, I like what the Titans are doing. They're giving this young man an opportunity to be successful. I do not think you can pass up the super flex quarterback. And in general, the value is insulated at least for a year and a half. So if you do want to flip them or if you want to move away, you can, and you're not going to lose as much value.
Absolutely. For me, 102 to 104 is a tier, and especially in Superflex, if you need a quarterback, you are absolutely empowered to take Cam Ward. I like him. He came out QB 16 in my 2025 projections, John, so that's a really nice spot. I mean, that's a starting quarterback in most leagues. So that's a really good spot to be in. By the way, I'm going to refer to my projections or my rankings a lot because I have actually put every single player that's been drafted into a projection set. And so I will be referencing that. If you want to see those projections, they are available to all Rookie Big Board patrons. The link to join is in the episode description. You can get the rankings. John mentioned personalized advice for your rookie drafts. In the Discord, we have an On the Clock channel. We will guide you, coach you through your rookie drafts. That's the only promo plug I'm going to put in this whole mock draft because there's so much content. We don't even have time to promote ourselves, but I'm telling you folks, $5 a month. Just try it for 1 month, $5. I promise. We're going to help you win your rookie drafts. So I mentioned, John, I think this tier is 102 to 104. I'm going to go with my guy who's still second overall on the Rookie Big Board, and that is Tatoria McMillan. You know, he got absolutely dragged leading up to the NFL draft. There was a lot of hype. Oh, he was going to fall. He could fall into the 20s. He could fall out of the draft. He goes to the Carolina Panthers. And that might not sound like the flashiest spot, but you know what's flashy, folks? Volume. And there is no volume competition. There's no touchdown competition. And he pairs very well with Bryce Young. I think he is a perfect skill set match for what Bryce Young wants to do with the ball. He wants to lead his receivers with anticipation. McMillan is great at that moving downfield. He wants to have a big boundary threat, a guy who can go up and get the ball. McMillan is able to do that. I really like his ability. And at 103, I think you're going to get a really good value on McMillan. I think he probably is going to be there, John, at 103 or 104. And you should be very happy scooping him up there.
I was wondering if you were going to leave him on the board for me, and I might have had to make a tough decision here. Yeah, with the fourth pick, I do not believe there's a quarterback worth taking at this spot. It's far too early. So I'm going to look long-term. And what I mean by that is 3 years down the road. And the running back that I like here, it's system. Marion Hampton going to the Chargers.
I knew that
You
was
might
coming.
have to be patient with Najee Harris. I get it. But I do believe they signed Harris to a 1-year contract. I have to look those details
It's a
up.
1 year. It's a 1 year.
There you go. So you know what? Even if Hampton doesn't get as many yards as we hope as a rookie, I think by 2026, he's clearly the man in that Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh backfield, and I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. We absolutely cleaned up that second tier that I talked about, John. I feel like this is going to be a pretty chalk start, in some order. Ashton Genty 101, and then in some order, these three guys going off the board. Now, my next tier here, it has 5 different players in it, so this is where I think drafts start to open up a little bit. And by the way, we're definitely going to have up later in the week like a tiers of rookie drafts, a full video breaking down tiers. But this should give you a pretty good idea as well. So I think in this spot, we start to talk about Travis Hunter, that's definitely in play, or it's the tight ends in play, Colston Loveland, big run up the board. I'm going to stick with a little bit more of a conservative pick, but I think it's a really solid pick to make at 105. Running back Travion Henderson. He moved up the board a little bit during the draft. I like the landing spot with New England. I'm not worried about Ramondre Stevenson. I think Stevenson will still get carries. But for me, Henderson is the lead back in terms of his on-the-ground plus receptions. I think he's going to be over 225 touches as a rookie, which if you're not, used to talking projections for rookies, that's a really good volume load. You absolutely love that. We liked his skill set pre-draft. 105, Travion Henderson. John, these picks, especially the 105, 106, that's a pivot point in the draft. Those picks have become really valuable post-NFL draft.
Absolutely. And I thought you were going to snipe me here. And this is a tough spot because I think there's another group of 4 tier. And I'm not trying to be spicy. I plugged in the numbers for this young man. And the numbers in this system, in the backfield that he has currently, the competition, Matt, it's RJ Harvey of the Denver Broncos, man. It's all about Sean Payton. Sean Payton. Look at what he's done with his running backs. And I'm sorry, Audric Esme and Jaleel McLaughlin are nice little role players. RJ Harvey, and I did a little research at 6 a.m, reading about Sean Payton, listening to Sean Payton discuss RJ Harvey. Matt, they saw what you and I saw on film.
Yeah.
He loves this young man. I mean, I don't think he's Alvin Kamara, but man, when you look at the backs, when he has that stud in the backfield, and he's an underrated pass catcher, and people go to the quotes. Sean Payton talks about his pass catching all the time. Everything he talked about yesterday was Harvey's pass catching ability. That is PPR gold, Matt. I'm all in, brother.
Woo-wee, that is aggressive, man. I thought RJ Harvey was going to come off the board 110, 111, but I'm here for it. Folks, go back, watch the RJ Harvey video, right? Watch the RJ Harvey video that we put up, over a month and a half ago now. Yeah. We have been in on him. He's been a big sleeper for us. Well, I thought pre-draft, I thought we might be able to get him in the 3rd round. Not anymore, John. You're right. You're paying a 1st-round pick. Maybe a little bit later in the 1st round in some drafts, but you're paying a 1st-round pick for RJ Harvey. I'm going to go with somebody who I like a lot more post-NFL draft than I did pre-NFL draft, and that is Travis Hunter. I've really come around on Travis Hunter.
Bandwagon. Because I said it in January. I loved Hunter.
For me, it was this idea of, was he going to play wide receiver full time? That was a piece of the puzzle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But then once we got into the NFL draft, it was like, do I want a wide receiver on the Cleveland Browns? And we'll get into their quarterback room certainly throughout this rookie draft. Yeah. But where I landed on that was, once he went to Jacksonville, it was a totally different story, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because now he's got Brian Thomas Jr. pulling top coverage. He's got a fantastic quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. And it seems like everything the Jaguars have said, he's going to be starting off primarily as a wide receiver. You have him in Liam Cohen's offense. Every move Jacksonville has made is to build around Trevor Lawrence. I think he's 100+ targets, John. And if you're getting 100+ target wide receiver at 107, and then you talk about the fact that as a pure wide receiver, he'd be the second wide receiver for me in tape grade in this draft. I think that's a really fantastic value. I mean, we're not just hyping it up, man. Guys, 107, 108, we're moving down the board. These picks are super valuable right now.
And again, read the GM quotes and the coach, Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Matt, every intention of playing Hunter at wide receiver. When we recorded our first show, I think it was first week of February, we did Hunter. And I said back then, I graded him higher as a wide receiver than a cornerback. And you know what? With Brian Thomas on the field, this is going to be a major problem. I love that pick. I would not oppose taking Hunter over Harvey. I get it. I'm just more of a running back guy. Now, this is a monkey wrench in my process here. I was going to go Quinshawn Junkins, but the Browns threw the monkey wrench with Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
And I don't love the organization. It's like confounding that organization.
Poor offensive line, too. Bad offensive line unit.
So what I just switched in the last hour, I'm going to go Caleb Johnson of the Steelers here. They run the wide zone. I love Caleb Johnson in a zone. I think he's good inside, but I think he's terrific on the wide zone. And I think you have such a high floor, right? Najee Harris is gone. Jaylen Warren, you know what? They have not changed anything about Jaylen Warren. He's going to be the exact same player he's been. They're bringing in Caleb to do the pounding and the dirty work and to hit some home runs. So I'm going to take Caleb Johnson here.
Yeah, listen, I have been low on Caleb Johnson through the entire process. And I said that he needed two things. He needed an outside zone scheme, and he needed volume. Well, guess what, folks? He got both of those things. He really did. And an improved offensive line over the last couple of years there in Pittsburgh. So I have no problem 108. I put him on my fades video. You can comment and let me know that I'm turning cheek or I'm flipping on my pick. Listen, man, when you get new information, you have to be able to support it. And I would take him a little bit lower, more like 111. I think that 108 is a perfectly justifiable spot. All right, at 109, I'm torn between doing what I want to do and what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to take what I think is going to happen, and I'm going to take Colston Loveland off the board, 109. Woo! There's a lot of hype and excitement behind Colston Loveland. I feel like he's going to go just about this range. I'm still torn. I think after day one, I was in on the idea of Loveland over Warren. But then in day two, when they took Burden, it started to get a little messier, right, in terms of that projection. But I think there's going to be a lot of confidence in the Ben Johnson tight end, the athleticism, the pass catching ability. So I'm going to take him off the board here, 109.
I'm not willing to go the other tight end. It'll be interesting to see where we rank him, the two of us together. So now I'm kind of torn. I have a wide receiver I really like, and I have a running back, but I don't love the spot that I alluded to earlier. I do think this is a running back draft. So I'm going to go Quinshawn Junkins of the Browns. I'm going to make the assumption that he gets the key carries. And what I mean by that is the touchdown carries, the goal line carries for the Browns. Now, the Dylan Sampson monkey wrench does bother me, and I might have to double back to make sure I get both Browns runners. And they do have Jerome Ford, but I'll go Junkins here, and I think he's going to win the lead role.
All right, I'm here for it. I'm going to go to the wide receiver position, and I'm going to take Matthew Golden.
That's who I was.
Yeah, a lot of folks, I think, are confused about the Matthew Golden pick to Green Bay. Is it the most obvious pick and fit? No, but I actually think it makes a lot of sense. I think it is a clear role for Golden playing over the middle of the field. I think he can stretch the field a little bit. I think it's going to help Jaden Reed too. But I do have Golden. I put him in my projections as the lead receiver, 105 targets there in the Green Bay offense. He's got Jordan Love who can push the ball downfield to him. And so would I use 106, 107 on him? No. But right there at 111, that's a pretty good value to have for Matthew Golden. So I like taking him there.
This is an interesting spot because you're the championship team. You're picking 12th, or you might have traded, I guess. So, but you're sitting there with a good team at pick number 12. We have a tight end and a wide receiver, and I actually have them adjacent in my rankings. And I am, in general, a dumpster diver at the tight end position. So I'm going to go for the safety, Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
I love the landing spot 2 years from now. And we don't really have confirmation on Chris Godwin. You know, it's kind of like, I think the whole industry is making an assumption that he's just going to come back. That's not clarified yet. You got to figure Evans moves on probably, you know, after 2 years, maybe 3, but then you have Jalen McMillan. So I love Egbuka as long as Baker Mayfield's there and they're throwing the ball, and I love the talent, so I'll go Egbuka.
All right, I think that's a perfect spot to take Egbuka. I just put together a video of Egbuka versus Golden, so it makes perfect sense that they're going back to back. Folks, how good is the value? What do we say all year long? Trade for second-round picks. Ooh. Every year, some of the best value is in the turn to the second round, and you very legitimately could be in this situation. I think this board played out super realistic, and you have Tyler Warren available to you at 201. He was the 14th overall pick. We have concerns with that quarterback room. That's totally valid. But to get Tyler Warren's value, his pass catching ability, his versatility, I will say, you know, whether it's Danny Dimes or whether it's Anthony Richardson, neither are accurate, but they're both more accurate in the short field. And that's where Tyler Warren's going to be catching the ball. So I'd feel better about Tyler Warren with those guys than Michael Pittman, right? So 201, I love the idea of Tyler Warren there.
Hey, I was debating between Egbuka and Warren. Obviously, roster construction could matter right there, but I love that pick. And if you did get him at the top of the second round, and man, he might fall because of the landing spot. There are people who think it's a little crowded, and it's Indianapolis. They don't like the quarterback situation. So I do think you're getting tremendous value. Now it's interesting. I'm going to go to a guy who I can't believe it, but the landing spot and how the NFL liked him, they told me they like him more than me. I'm going Jaden Higgins of the Texans. Okay. I like his teammate, Jalen Noel, better, but the NFL clearly said, at least the Texans, that they like Jaden Higgins better. And you know what I like about him? He has Nico Collins to draw the alpha defensive back. And then you know what? They're letting CJ Stroud cook. I mean, he's the second wide receiver for CJ Stroud. That's a really solid landing spot. So I'll take Jaden Higgins there.
I think that's a pretty reasonable pick there. I'm a little bit lower on Jaden Higgins than consensus, but you bring up a good point. A lot of folks were confused. Why did they draft Jaden Higgins when they had Nico Collins? They play in different ways. You don't want Higgins attached to the boundary. We broke that down in depth in our rookie profile for Jaden Higgins. So this is actually a good fit for Jaden Higgins. And I'll say, John, starting at the 202, I want to identify a tier break because I think after Tyler Warren, now you have a lot of choice. And whenever there's a tier break like that, you got a lot of guys you like in the same spot. I'm choosing the talent, and I'm trusting my eyes. And I believe in Luther Burden. And I believe that Ben Johnson's going to find a way to get Luther Burden involved in this offense. I think it might be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage than I like, but I think he can be a real power slot, a slot plus type guy. So I like Luther Burden. And the fact that you can walk away from a rookie draft legitimately here with the 103 pick, you know, the 103 was McMillan, the 203 is Burden. I mean, that's pretty freaking fun.
And, you know, Matt, will they trade DJ Moore? I'm not going to rule out that.
Interesting.
You know, could they trade him? Because they do have Rome Odunze, and isn't Burden a little bit redundant with DJ Moore? So I think that's an interesting. His value is, I think he's going to fluctuate in lots of drafts until we get some clarity on the rotation of receivers. But I like that pick here. So now I'm looking at my board that I currently have, and I'm still going to value the running backs. I do think this is a running back draft class. And I'm going to go on who I think is going to be hot in your drafts. I'm going Bashal Tutin of the Jaguars.
Oh.
I think what the Jaguars are doing, Matt, they just have speed all over the field. Oh, my God. Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Bashal Tutin, Matt. They just got a track team out there. And I think, they're just going to try to get these guys in space and let them run. And it's going to be a problem. I'm not a big Travis Etienne fan, and maybe Bigsby, who knows? So I'm going to take Tootin.
All right, John. Hey, this is a Superflex league, right?
Yep.
I'm taking my QB2, Tyler Shuck, off the board, baby. Starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. They take him with pick 40. I loved his prospect profile coming in. Good mechanics, gunslinger, adjusts release points well, gets the ball into tight windows, can push the ball downfield. I think he is, even if you were drafting Tyler Shuck and you thought Derek Carr was perfectly healthy, you would look at their prototypes and say, what a one-to-one replacement, right? In terms of that vertical passing ability. Now you put him in the Kellen Moore offense. He went into my projections here and he spit out as quarterback 24. So if you can get a QB2 on your team at pick 205, all day. I'm doing it all day.
I mean, it totally makes sense, Matt. And, you're higher on him than I am, but I cannot deny the landing spot right now. He's probably, if he can stay healthy, he'll probably start 10 to 12 games minimum for New Orleans this year. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of competition if Derek Carr is hurt. It's just such a monkey wrench, right?
Yep.
So now there's two wide receivers who I really like here. And I'm conflicted on them. Because the guy I like is not going to go as high as I think the industry or the casual dynasty owner. But I'm going to go the runway to most potential targets. And that's Kyle Williams in New England.
Oh, I had no idea where you were going with that.
He's attached to Drake May. I'm all in on Drake May. I think he's going to play much better. His main competition is Demario Douglas. I'm not in love with Demario Douglas. I think Polk and Baker showed us last year that they're not overly interesting. He's been getting a lot of press. I liked him. I wrote about him in my sleepers column. We highlighted him in our sleepers article. I'm going to take Kyle Williams here.
I like that. And John, I will tell you, I was updating my projections about 1:30 a.m. last night, and I had my Kyle Williams epiphany, right? Thinking about what's his role? How does he connect with Drake May? Kyle Williams, 2022 Josh Downs at UNC with Drake May. The way he wins, the vertical threat ability, the inside outside, right?
I think he's really good for Drake May, my friend. I do.
That's got to get you excited about it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the tight end position. I really like the landing spot here for Mason Taylor. He goes to the Jets.
I get sniped in a mock.
He goes to the Jets. He's got good volume. I mean, a ton of vacated targets there, vacated touchdown production. And then you have Justin Fields, right? And Justin Fields is going to be looking for that safety net tight end. I talked about this a lot with Mason Taylor. One of the things I really liked was that Garrett Nussmeier, a first-time starting quarterback, he had to make the breakthrough. He needed a safety net. He always trusted Mason Taylor over the middle. Justin Fields, he's not a rookie, but he needs to have a breakthrough, and he needs to have a receiver he can trust. I think it's going to be Mason Taylor.
He was probably going to be my next pick. I had him queued up. I do like him as a second-round pick. My only concern is, once again, it's the Jets, but that's a different story for a different day. I'm going to go the other wide receiver I was alluding to earlier, and I think he's going to get a lot of dynasty buzz, and he does have such a great quarterback, but I'm worried about the system. Trey Harris.
I was wondering how long it would take for you to take Trey Harris.
He lands with the Chargers. I get it. You got Lab McConkey, and now you have Harris. We don't believe too much in Quinshon Johnson. He's out. I think Trey Harris could step in. But I think he's going to be a little boom bust early in his career just because of the way that Chargers offense is structured with Greg Roman. But I do like the talent, and he's attached to the quarterback, and there's always injuries. So I'll take Trey Harris here.
All right. There's a player that I want to take here, John, but I'm going to take the player who I think there's going to be some folks, listening and watching and saying, come on, guys, you can't just go past him. So I'm going to take Jackson Dart. I'm going to get him off the board. And we did a great live stage in the Rookie Big Board Discord on day one of the NFL draft. And, somebody, a patron hopped on and asked, would you take Jackson Dart as late as the first round in a Superflex league? And, I mentioned I personally wouldn't because it's an automatic 0 year one. And you don't know that it's going to be plus value after that, right? I mean, you are really banking on development. That being said, I want us to try to reflect ADP, realistic ADP as much as possible. And where I took Tyler Shuck, you could see Jackson Dart coming off the board then. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even take Jackson Dart 209, like 301, 302 is where I start feeling comfortable with him. But let's get him off the board to try to stay realistic with ADP.
I was debating where I was going to take Jackson Dart. I agree with you at the back of round 2. I probably would have taken him with 212 if he had landed down there. I would have liked that value. So I understand it totally. You're in the bucket of where he should go. It's hard to get a 0 year one, right, from a player who won't see the field. That's very difficult. So I'm going to go on my board right now, and you might have to be patient with this young man. But I think Jalen Noel landed with the Texans.
Oh, man. All right.
I think he landed in a nice spot. I don't know if he's going to have a great rookie season. It might take him a year or two to develop and get opportunity. But I still believe in him. And I think the Texans are putting together. They're going to throw the ball all over the yard, my friend. So I'll take Noel here.
The Houston Cyclones. You love to see it. This is what happens when you do the right thing. You get sniped on Jalen Noel. I will say, I was obviously disappointed. I thought he was going to be a top 50 guy. And when he went to go put him in the projections for the Texans, and I said, oh, this is so weird. Like, he is Christian Kirk, and they already have Christian Kirk. But then I looked and I saw they're paying Christian Kirk $1 million. I think they traded like a 7th round pick or something, right? Like, to get him. I mean, it is such a replacement for Christian Kirk for me. And so I think Jalen Noel can be a flex guy year one, and he could have upside. And if you're drafting that back into the second round, that's pretty good. That is pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Cam Skattebo. Early day 3 selection. He absolutely broke my heart because I love Cam Skattebo, but I love Tyrone Tracy.
But
I put him in the projections, and I think Cam Skattebo could have over 200 touches on the ground. Now, I think this is an appropriate spot to take Skattebo because I do think Tyrone Tracy is still going to be involved as a rotational runner on the ground, and I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be the pass-catching specialist. It's not that Skattebo can't catch the ball. There's just no reason to ask him to catch the ball when you have Tyrone Tracy on that team as well. So maybe 25 receptions for Skattebo as opposed to, a running back we, would want to have closer to 45 or 50. But still, at the end of the second round at 211, that's pretty good value there.
I had him. He was in the queue. I would love him in the 3rd round early. I think that. But I definitely see the bucket of value right there late in the 1st. So I'm torn now. But you know what, Matt? There's a lot of depth at wide receiver that I'm pretty comfortable with in a giant bucket. So I'm going to go, to me, the highest rising tight end. And I think he's really going to go earlier than everyone thinks. Terrence Ferguson of the Rams. The pathway to opportunity in a Sean McVay offense. And they took him so early in the draft. I think Terrence Ferguson is going to steam up in these Superflex tight end premium leagues.
Absolutely sniped. Sniped. I love Terrence Ferguson. He was going to be, I mean, if you go and read volume 1 of the rookie guide, he's a sleeper pick for me. No longer a sleeper. I'll tell you what, he is on the board. And if you watch the live stream, I said right before they picked him, I said, like Terrence Ferguson with Sean McVay, that's kind of perfect, right, guys? And then he went off the board. So I think it's an absolute perfect.
Matt, it's like the perfect opportunity, right?
It's so good. It's so good. All right, we are on to the 3rd round, and this is a 4-round mock draft. We want to cover a lot, but we're going to go a little bit more of a lightning round through the last 2 rounds here, because also this is where things break wide open. I think we've hit a natural tier break at the end of this round. So at 301, I'm going to go with Ty Felton, my guy out of Maryland. He lands with the Minnesota Vikings. And that might not sound like a super exciting landing spot, but I think he's going to have plenty of room to work underneath. There was 70 targets there for him in the projections. He's got day 2 draft capital. I really like Ty Felton. I think it's a great fit for him.
Matt, he was in my short list here. And everyone, thank you. That was the biggest viewed video of the last 24 hours was Ty Felton. Love the landing spot, but be patient. I'm going to go. I don't love this spot or team, but I think Jack Beck is the guy in play right here from the Raiders. I think early 3rd round is fair value for Jack Beck.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. That's a perfect spot for Jack Beck. I am going to go with a player for ADP purposes here. I don't love him at this spot, but I think he's going to go pretty high because he had his truthers pre-draft. Jaden Blue going to the Dallas Cowboys. I think as a pass catching specialist with some really good volume on the ground, I think he'll have more touches than either Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams, and then he'll be the pass catching specialist.
This is Superflex. I can't ignore. I'm going to put away all the nonsense. I am going to go Shedeur Sanders here.
Okay, there it is.
3rd round. I think there's an opportunity to be the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback in the near future, sooner rather than later. I'm just going to go see, and I'm not a Sanders guy, but he should have gone in at least day 2. So I'm going to go there and they have nice pass catchers. I'm going to take Sanders off the board.
All right, Sanders off the board here. At 3-0, sorry, we always peel back the curtain. We see how far into the draft we can get each year. To make this video the first mock draft that happens after the NFL draft, we have to do this mock during the NFL draft.
Yes.
So if you just saw the face I made, it was not to John Shedeur Sanders pick. It was to Devin Neal finally getting drafted to the Saints, which actually is a sneaky good landing spot for him.
It is a good landing spot.
So we see how long we can last. So he's going to come off the board now. Not right now, but he's going to come off the board. I am going to go with a wide receiver who I really liked pre-draft. He fell into day 3 a little bit further than we expected, but not a bad landing spot for Jalen Royals after all. I think he takes that Hollywood Brown type role that they expect. They kind of brought him back as on a low end contract. And I think Royals can play that role. 12% of the Kansas City market share. You're going to have a high completion percentage between his pass catching ability and then Pat Mahomes throwing him the ball. A nice mid-3rd round pick here.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go, I didn't love this player pre-draft, but the position's loaded. Let me say that. But I wasn't talking about him a lot. I'm going to go Woody Marks of the Texans.
Oh, come on, man.
I think he could be your 55 to 65 catch guy. He might only have 50 carries, but he might get you 65 receptions in this Texans offense. I'm going to go Woody Marks.
I've never been more upset to get sniped in a fake draft. I have to tell you. This is my guy. I feel like I was getting poo-pooed on him a lot pre-draft. And then he goes to the Texans, where I think he's instantly the running back 2 on the ground. He's the running back 1 through the air. And then Joe Mixon he's on the last year of his deal. And Mark's, 5'10", 207. He can be the lead back, guys. I think 306 all day, man. Oh, I'm reeling a little bit, John. I felt safe with that. I thought I was going to be able to get that one. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take off the board. There's a few players who I really like here. I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson. I think that's the guy who is going to come off the board here. I don't like him the best. I actually instantly regret this choice, but I feel like I'm trying to keep the ADP along here. And I think folks are going to, lean into the Dylan Sampson talent here in the mid-3rd round.
This is so hard because I like both receivers. And for the purposes of the video, I want to show value possibly. And I do like this young man, but I'm going to go Chamari DK of the Titans.
Okay.
Because they did draft him first. Now, I wrote about him in my sleepers column. I do believe he's very underrated, but there's a monkey wrench here, but I'm going to go DK first.
Well, I'm glad you did it because as I drafted Dylan Sampson, the reason I said I had instant regret is because then I was looking down board at Ao Minor. I like Ao Maynor more as a prospect and as a player. You're right. They took DK first, and that does count for something. Like it absolutely does. When I was thinking about DK's skill set, I feel like that was the Nick Westbrook Akine replacement, where Ao Maynor has a chance to be an X receiver, right? And so I think both of these guys are in play. And I think when you look at 4th round versus 5th round draft capital, take the player you like best. That's in the same bucket for me.
I mean, I like Alec Manor before the draft. There's no question about it. But I do like the landing spot. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to remain very open-minded. You know what, Matt? I'm going to go with and you mentioned it, I still believe in him. I think this is an underrated spot. Let's put Devin Neal of the Saints right here.
That's so rude. I shouldn't have told you.
Just checking out I just went to the
He takes Woody Marks. He takes Devin Neal. I mean, what's going on here, man?
I think that's a nice little landing spot in New Orleans for him. So I'll take Devin Neal.
Yeah, plenty of volume year one is the spellback for Kamara. And then, Kamara is not the youngest running back in the league. So I think that's a really nice, and they complement each other incredibly well.
They do.
That's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take somebody who was a sleeper for me pre-draft. I don't think that he's actually even going to go 311, but I just want to talk about it. I want to make sure I don't get sniped. Now I'm a little nervous. John's taking all my guys. I really liked Arian Smith pre-draft, and he ends up going to the Jets, and there's plenty of volume there for the Jets. The only thing I'm worried is that he's best as a downfield threat. Justin Fields isn't throwing downfield as much, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bank on the talent. And if you play in a league with special teams points, I imagine they're going to have him returning punts and kicks as well.
That, Matt, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's got to be for special teams. And then obviously just to challenge the safety, right?
There's so many targets, though. There's so many targets with the wide receivers.
And then he's a deep guy, right? Yeah, he challenges the safeties. There's a role for him in the offense. The question is, how's it work fantasy-wise? I'm still working through that prospect.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm going to look here. And now it's a debate between talent and potential opportunity. Matt, I'm surprised he went this early, but I lowered him because of his 40 time. But Sean Payton doesn't care about that. I'm going Pat Bryant of the Broncos.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
You know what, though? If you think about Marquise Colston, Michael Thomas, and Cortland Sutton, and if you watch Pat Bryant, the way he played for Illinois, he's got that big body kind of physical middle of the field. He fits the Sean Payton mold, even though he's not uber athletic. So I think he's going to be overlooked in here. I like him here.
All right. I think that's a good point. Let's go ahead. Let's get Jalen Milroe off the board.
That's the other guy.
Yeah, I do think there's a shot he goes in the 3rd round, early 4th round, Superflex league. You put him on the bench. If you're a Jalen Milroe truther, I think you actually have to be pretty happy about this landing spot. Like, it's a veteran who absolutely can lose his job. They are not that committed to him. A 2-year runway, a 1-year runway is totally realistic for Milroe. And if you're playing in a best ball league, I'm sure they're going to use him in run packages year 1.
I think there's no question that he's a 4th round super flex value. So I'm just looking quickly. I can't even believe this, but I'm going to take him here because there's still landing spots, Matt, and I still like him unless he's undrafted free agent. But I'm going to go Damian Martinez. We don't have a spot here. I got to believe he's going to get drafted. I'm shocked that he's still on the board, but I do like Martinez.
We'll manifest it here. I'm keeping an eye on the draft for you. We'll hopefully have a landing spot for Damian Martinez before we finish this bad boy up. All right, I am going to go with a running back who I really liked pre-draft, and I think he got a sneaky good landing spot. How about Jordan James, huh? He's going to San Francisco. I think he takes the Jordan Mason role, not one-to-one as a player, right? But he takes that role. I think I like him better than Isaac Garundo. And if you are in San Francisco, you can be the lead running back, right? And if CMC misses any time, then we have Jordan James in there, and even with CMC healthy, he's got to get less touches, right? We got to start winding him down.
I like that Jordan James pick right there. I'm going to go with another receiver who might have a sneaky opportunity. Going Torrey Holton of the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah.
Another player I liked in the process, and I think it's an undervalued landing spot. There's opportunity in the Seahawks passing game.
All right. I like that pick. Oh, two guys who I really want. We're in the 4th round, and I'm still debating guys who I really want. I watched Isaac Tesla was probably the I mean, like 79th guy that I watched, honestly. But when I flipped on his tape, I was like, this dude has juice. And then he goes day 2. I thought he'd be like a round 6 guy. He goes day 2 to Detroit. And I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what the role is. Like Khalif Raymond plus? I don't know what the role is, but I don't care. Like, I think that they drafted him to find a way to use him. And in the 4th round, I'm willing to shoot for upside.
I think at this point in the draft, you're shooting for a high athlete or a role, right? Arian Smith might have a role. Tesla has a high athleticism. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on landing spot. That's the other opportunity. I like Jordan Watkins as a sneaky player in San Francisco. I think this might, if Shanahan identifies him, he's a late breakout, but his numbers aren't that bad over the last year. So I'll take Watkins here.
All right. That's a fun pick there. I was trying to figure out what's his role in that offense. And then I looked, they have Demarcus Robinson in there. I think he takes the Demarcus Robinson role, right? Like that field stretcher. He's not afraid to block. I think he can get snaps. It confused me at first, but then it made sense. I'm going to take another guy who I really liked pre-draft. I've been high on him. There's no way I'm letting John take him. Ooh. Trevor Etienne, a sneaky good landing spot, folks. Like I actually probably should have taken him, over Jordan James in terms of landing spot. Chuba Hubbard carrying 250 touches a season has just been out of necessity. Jonathan Brooks is out again for this year. It's looking like it's not happening for Jonathan Brooks, right? And so Trevor Etienne smashing between the tackles in Carolina, I think he's got at least 150 touches to get this year.
He was definitely on my short list here as I cross people off the board. Now, I saw Ollie Gordon just went to Miami. Don't love the landing spot. Don't love the opportunity. So I'm going to bypass.
Hey, John, at least Mike McDaniels finally got off of his speed thing, huh?
Yes, he definitely got off the speed. So I'm going to go basically just on landing spot and maybe injuries occur. Jarquez Hunter of the Rams.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think the system is right for him. Obviously, it's a difficult depth chart with Blake Corum and Kyren Williams up there. But I'll take Jarquez Hunter.
All right. That's a good pick. I'm giving some respect here. I'm going Dillon Gabriel. He was drafted first. We had fellow Dillon Gabriel truthers. We had 14 hours of absolute bliss. We were on cloud 9. We had pulled a heist. Dillon Gabriel was going to be a starting quarterback. And you know what, John? Going into camp, I know Shedeur was drafted second. Shedor's probably got the edge. But I've seen Dillon Gabriel win the job out at UCF. I've seen him win the job out at Oklahoma. I've seen him step into Dan Lanning's offense in 1 year. He's a better processor. He's a better decision maker. He's more mobile. I'm not. He's definitely got better mechanics. I'm not rolling out Dillon Gabriel to win this job. And I think if you can get him at 409, you have to do it.
If we had done this draft 2 hours ago, I would have taken Dillon Gabriel around the turn of this round, late 3rd, early 4th. But then they drafted Shedeur. So I just, I love Gabriel. I mean, yeah. I do. So I had him targeted here.
It's messy. It's messy.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to go running back again. The depth chart isn't as bad as you think, everyone. I'm going DJ Giddens, landing with the Colts. Hey, running backs get hurt all the time. I don't like the players a lot. Trey Sermon, but sitting there behind Jonathan Taylor. So I'll take DJ Giddens here.
Oh, I only have one pick left. There's still so many players that I like. I am going to make sure he gets off the board. I know his landing spot wasn't the best, but I do feel like we kind of forgot about him a little bit. Elijah Arroyo is going to get drafted. He's going to be a top 48 rookie pick, right? So let's get Elijah Arroyo off the board. I think maybe 402, 403 is where he goes more often. It's kind of a blah landing spot there in Seattle. You have Noah Fant already. You have AJ Barner, right? What are we doing crushing our AJ Barner shares? The quarterback situation, who knows what we have going on there. But we know Arroyo has a good skill set. He passes the eye test. So I think he's worth taking a shot on here.
So last pick of the draft. I'm still not ready to go. Oh my God, Matt. Khalil Mullins.
Yeah, Khalil Mullins. Yeah.
And Damian, I don't know what's going on anymore. I mean, maybe there's an injury report that we don't know. But I mean, I don't even think Khalil Mullins is in the same bucket as Damian Martinez. But okay, I'm going to ignore that for a moment. I'm completely blown away right now by that one. So I'm going to go, I think fantasy owners are going to like much more than you and I. Stavion Williams of the Packers. He's probably lasted a little long at this point. But man, isn't that room super crowded with 5 wide receivers? I just don't see a lot of opportunity, but there are Savion Williams truthers out there. So I think I had to take him here this late.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance Savion Williams ends up with the second most touches on his team than the third most targets. I'm going to be completely honest with you there. Right? Just the way that he was used at TCU. I think they're going to get him like 30 to 40 carries on the ground. That's 48 picks, folks. There's still good players we left off the board. Let us know who we missed. I know Harold Fannin Jr. didn't get drafted, right? Just one right off the bat. Like I'll jump ahead of getting roasted on that. Gunnar Helm I really liked. Deontay Thornton, I thought, could have been in play. So a lot of really good players were reacting here. The first mock draft after the NFL draft. If you want full in-depth access to all the projections that I've been talking about, the rankings, personalized advice, the link to join will be in the episode description, patreon.com/rookiebigboard. Folks, there is literally no better time to get help on your rookie drafts than right now. We appreciate you checking out this episode. And believe it or not, we are not done yet. We're going to be back real soon with some more rookie content.